What is going on, guys? Jack here and welcome to episode 54 of the Pentagon Challenge, here with Vitoria. Moved on again, and I know someone's going to be like, Jack, you should have stuck it out in Sweden, you should have stuck it out in Europe. I don't know. Upon reflection, I kind of feel like trying to make myself do it the hard way was probably a mistake, because I feel as if, I don't know, I wasn't really progressing anywhere, you know? You go to a low-rep team like Ep.54, you're going to be spending 4 or 5 years to get anywhere near winning the league with that team from the position I inherited them in. Because the team's reputation's so low again, there's no real opportunities to sign new players. And to win the Champions League with them, we're talking like a 20 to 30 year campaign, I reckon. Realistically, considering the quality of the players I could bring in and kind of Sweden's quality as a whole. So I have jumped ship, which is terrible, I know, but I've got a job at Vitoria, and I know people are going to be like, well, Jack, who the hell are Vitoria? Well, Vitoria are actually a team in the Brazil First Division. I inherit them in a somewhat unstable manner, I suppose. Financially, very good, which is the main thing I like to see when I come to a team. In terms of kind of the expectations and stuff, if I just go to the confidence, you'll see my expectation is to stay clear of relegation. Vitoria are actually one of the better teams in Brazil, in my opinion. They're a very strong side. I guess most importantly, we have insane facilities here, you know. An established youth recruitment really means that you do find the youth players right at the start of the game, and I guess that is how you succeed in Brazil. Excuse me. So, the main plan here is get this team stable in a few years, finish in the top 5 in the First Division, and qualify for the Copa Libertadores, and then from there, you know, push on to win it, which I believe we should do in 5 years. Realistically, I don't know. I've never managed in Brazil, so it's hard for me to tell. You'll see it's the 26th of January. We have the State Championship going on at the moment, but I'm not going to be covering this. If you don't know what the State Championship is, basically in the off-season in Brazil, each kind of state in the country has its own league, which contests between all the kind of main teams in that state. Usually this consists of maybe 2 or 3 really strong teams, and then a bunch of non-league teams. As you can see here, Bahia are the only other Brazilian team who are kind of at all even have a badge, so gives you an idea. They're in the First Division. A lot of these teams are in the Brazil non-league. We should be slaughtering them week in and week out, and I'm just not going to cover this part of the season basically for that reason. I mean, it does mean that I end up playing something like 68 games just in leagues minimum. In the State Championship, the top 4 qualify for a kind of knockout stage, and then that's all done and dusted by the start of May for the main season, which is when I'll probably come back here. As it is, I've not made any signings, but just a quick kind of glance over the squad, I suppose, just so you guys can see what's what. The squad isn't too bad. You know, there's a few strong players. There's this Alex guy, who's a really solid centre-back, and we have Alan Wellington as well, who's probably one of the best centre-backs in Brazil at the moment, and I think he'll be a Brazil international before too long, and I think it's going to be a tough challenge to keep him at the club. His contract runs out in 12 months, so going to be trying to get him to sign a new one as well during this off-season. The system that I'm going to be using is a 5-3-2. I've not really had a good kind of setup of it yet, literally because it's the first day of me being at the club and I'm just going to take things as they go. But I have a feeling that it's really going to involve kind of this, one of the centre mids, in this case the anchorman, maybe playing as a flat 3 in the centre of midfield, or maybe even kind of a player who just plays off the forward against teams where we really want to go for goals. But it's one of these things where I'm kind of just going to take things as they come. I'm pretty looking forward to kind of getting right into this. On the transfer front, I do have a little bit of money to play with. I would like to add 2 strikers, I feel. The striker area of the team is fairly old. I mean, we have a Dalton here who's 31, so he's kind of on his way out. And because he's a very pacey striker and his physicals are really all he's got, with him getting older, they're going to be really on the decline, and he's not going to be a very good player for very many years. And then Edson as well, who's another very physically gifted and a very fast forward, who's 31. When he gets a little bit older, he's going to lose that pace. He's going to lose that kind of, physical advantage he has over other players, and then he really has nothing left to offer. Much like Michael Owen, I suppose. So, what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm actually going to skip forward now to kind of the end of the pre-season. Then we'll have a good old review, talk a little bit more about what's going on at the club and all that jazz. So, I will join you guys in just a second. Okay guys, so we're back and it's the 18th of May, so you've not missed anything in terms of the main league games. Just looking at the state championship really quickly before we get into transfers. We won 5-4 on aggregate against Bahia. We'll go with that. These pronunciations are going to be tricky because it's all Spanish names and I suck at Spanish, as we found out when Mexico. But anyway, looking at it, as I expected really, the only games we really struggled against were against Bahia, who are the other kind of strong Brazilian team. We only really mustered a draw and a loss against them. However, we beat them when it mattered, in the final of the tournament. And they're our local rivals, so that's been really good for my board confidence. One or two results may stick out like a sore thumb here. This 11-0 win might be the biggest kind of dominance of a game I've ever had in FM. They had 2 shots, 1 on target. I had 48 shots and 23 on target. Won 11-0, and 3 players got hat-tricks and 1 player got 5 goals. So, yeah, if that gave you any idea of what my pre-season consisted of, that should give you a very good idea. Moving on to tactics before I cover the transfers, I have kind of set up the system that I talked to you guys about before. Got a counter-attacking kind of tactic here for against stronger teams, a really kind of hoofball direct play. Flat midfield formation here, this one, really defend as a unit. Wing-backs get up, retain possession, and work the opportunity. And then we have the 5-3-2 with the attacking inside forward playing just off the front two. Very much a formation I turn to when we really need to kind of hassle the opposition and really go for a goal, or in games where we're just expected to win and I don't need to kind of concern myself with kind of keeping the ball because it's just going to happen naturally. So that's that. Just looking at the transfers, as I said, fair few to tell you about actually in the end. Some of these transfers had already happened before I came here, but I will cover the ones which I was involved in. So 2 on the out, you'll see, while I've been here. Douglas, who was the vice-captain and our first-choice keeper, sold him for, what was it in the end, £1 million, which, on the face of it, might not look like the best bit of business. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's hard to sell influential players, but he's a 34-year-old goalkeeper and I'm building for the future here. I've got a very kind of what I believe was a very hot prospect in goal. His stats don't reflect it, but in this off-season against these kind of weaker teams he's done okay. So I'm not too concerned about Douglas leaving. I think it's probably going to benefit us in the good run. And then we also have Tibet here, who's gone on loan. He's just a bit of a youth prospect who's never really made it. So giving him some loaning out time in the second division of the league. Going to see if he can make anything of himself there. If not, he's got 1 year left on his deal at the end of the season, so probably won't be renewing that. I did get a contract renewal on Wellington as well to 2026. So that's him tied down for 4 years, and I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with him in terms of the transfers, just because he's worth so much and I don't know how long it's going to take for big clubs to come in for him. So watch this space, we'll find out in the future. Looking at the money I spent, I did shift quite a lot of money in the direction of kind of transfers to try and bolster our team. Very much trying to bring in some young players and some real quality. So we have here, as is Samba, really good little player, this guy. In Brazil, you're only allowed to have 3 foreign players in your starting 11. Fortunately for me, this guy was only 20 days off qualifying for Brazilian nationality when I signed him, and now that he has that, he doesn't take up one of the slots for the Brazilian kind of the foreign player rules. He's a very talented player. Perhaps his speed lets him down somewhat, but he's still a very, very strong player for us. And he's played well in the off-season, 11 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists, average rate of 7.87. Obviously, it's all very well and kind of good doing this kind of performance and kind of to that standard against these lower oppositions, but it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of steps up when we're playing against the likes of Santos and Sao Paulo. We also have Emmanuel here, a very similar player in fact. He is from, I don't want to get the badge wrong, I don't want to get the nation wrong, so I'm going to check it. He's from Congo. I think I have a Congolese subscriber, I believe. But anyway, he's not a bad player. He's pretty much a younger Samba. He's 19. His physicals let him down, but in kind of overall quality, he is a very good player, which is great to see. So, we have him. 3 more players just to tell you guys about. We've got Hans Muller here, who is a backup right back. Very nice player, I believe. You know, Brazil seems to have an abundance of wing backs. This guy certainly kind of fits the bill. Training him to play on the left-hand side as well of defence in left wing back, so he really provides that cover either side, as it was one area of the squad where I really didn't have any depth. Got this guy in for not too bad an amount of money, only 475k for what I believe to be adequate cover. Doesn't seem too bad at all. I'm going to leave Lacio for a second and come back to him. We have Kenneth Barbar here. Signed him from the Nigerian leagues, I want to say. I can't even tell you that because of the screwed up history. I signed him from Heartland. Yeah, a Nigerian team. He's a very good player. He reminds me a little bit of Lukaku. Obviously, he's 26. He hasn't got the youthful potential, but a very physically gifted striker who can also win the ball in the air. And when we're playing that slightly more direct style of football, it's nice to have kind of tall players you can play it to. But this guy's kind of a really kind of full package. I don't know. I think people will understand what I mean by he's a bit of a Lukaku, big kind of player, very physically strong. He's not the lightest player and he's not the shortest player. Put it that way. He's going to muscle for the ball. 3 caps for Nigeria as well. I did pay 2.5 million for him, which might seem like a lot, but considering the relative cheapness of the other players, I could almost afford to splash that cash on him to sign him. So I think he's going to be a good player for us. In the off-season, he scored 8 goals in 10 games. As I said, weaker opposition, but you know, signs are there that he's going to be a prolific goal scorer. Last but not least, we have Lacio, very, very talented forward, this guy. You can see his stats here. I wanted to play him as a target man, but he doesn't have the bravery to play a target man. He kind of has a little bit of pace about him, so I'm currently playing him as a poacher. But I mean, he's big, 189 centimeters, 84 kilograms. I mean, you can really see that I've got 2 very, very strong and big forwards here. This guy, kind of surprised he only made 2 under-20 appearances for Brazil. He's never really proved himself at any kind of level within Brazil. Found himself as a free agent. He's come to us. In 17 games, he scored 17 goals, 7 assists, and an average rating of 8.04. So, I mean, if that's anything to go by, he's going to be a very good striker kind of for us. And if he can just produce kind of anything like that against bigger opposition, I think we're going to be in very good stead. It's got to be remembered, we are a team tipped to try and avoid relegation. But I am very content with the squad I have. I believe that we should be doing at least that, really. The only position of real concern is the goalkeeper position. Well, we have Vicente here. He's been a very good player for us, to be honest. He's 20 years old. He's kept 15 clean sheets in 19 games, averaged a 7.11 rating. So despite us playing against the weaker opposition, he has pulled out saves for us. And I'm hoping he'll just kind of continue that going into the main season, I suppose. So as you can see, I really have tried to strengthen the side. We're tipped, kind of, our aim is to avoid relegation. We're actually predicted to finish 12th, and we are in the continental competition, the Copa Sudamericana, which is the, I think it's the equivalent of like the Europa Cup. I don't know when the draw for that is, so that's going to be an interesting one, you know. It gives us a little bit of a shot, I guess, at glory there. I'm not really sure how we qualified for that. I'm just going to check... what competitions did we win? We won the Copa Sudamericana in 2018. Oh god, is it this tournament? I don't know, guys. If you've got any idea how or why I've qualified, let me know. I'm not entirely sure. But no, I feel as if we should really be making a push for the top half at least. I do feel as if we maybe have an outside chance of kind of qualifying in the top 5, but Brazil is a very competitive league and it's going to be tough for us to do that. There's a lot of big teams here that you kind of pick out and go, well, they're a decent team. You've got the likes of Grêmio, Botafogo, Flamengo, Fluminense, Sao Paulo, Palmeiras, Corinthians, Cruzeiro, Internacional, Atlético Mineiro. There's some big teams here, and it's going to be tough to kind of compete with them. I'd honestly say that we should be up there, and I almost forgot Santos as well at the bottom. Someone was probably screaming at their TV, why you no say Santos? But no, I'm excited by these players. I think things are going to be very good for us, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this season brings. Guys, I do apologise if you're kind of not offended, but a bit disappointed that I didn't really slug it out in Europe. I wanted to save my reputation while I could. This was a very good job opportunity for me, and I'd kind of made a lot of mistakes with, I believe, with kind of just taking a job because it was there kind of thing, whereas I kind of tried to wait for the right job opportunity to come about. I think this is a very good club to be at. Obviously, great youth facilities, added some real youngsters to the side, got some quality forwards, had a nice overall squad dynamic and balance, and it's certainly a squad for the future, I do believe. So let me know what you think of this team. Let me know if you hate me for having, left Europe. I'm sure that a lot of you do. But other than that, if you could give the video a like, it helps me out. Very excited by this. Probably going to be a FM research episode up later tonight, so keep an eye out for that on my channel. But other than that, guys, it's me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.